Hello everybody, this is Kevin the Canadian Hillbilly, and on this one, if you're squeamish, you probably don't want to watch, because I'm going to teach you guys how to set up a rabbit snare. I know, times are tough here in northern Canada, and I want me some fresh meats, so I'm going to show you what we're looking for. You want to first identify an area where the rabbit is going on. Rabbits are kind of like us, they like using a trail because it's easy, and like us, they're habitual. So you'll find a trail that they travel on a regular basis. That's the first step. The second step is to set up a snare, and in doing so, you kind of got to use some spruce boughs, put a stick across the top of it, or have a good solid anchor point. That way the rabbit's kind of forced on that trajectory. And I think this is a nice little spot here, this trail here, where it goes in between those two poplar trees. That's a good spot to set up a snare. You can see where the rabbit's been traveling over here, and being along the driveway, it's a relatively easy spot to check. So I'm going to gear myself up. I got some stuff here. I got snare wire, the twine. We're going to grab some spruce boughs here, and we're going to chop those up, and we're going to set them up on each side of it, so it's kind of like a funnel. It'll be almost like the shape of an hourglass. That way, from one side it's funneled into where the snare is, and on the other side it's funneled into where the snare is. So I'm going to raid some of these spruce branches here that kind of come out onto my driveway that are in the way of snow removal anyway, so I might as well get rid of those fellers. And we're going to take it from there. Oh, Jesus. You guys okay in there? Sorry about that. That kind of came at you guys hard and fast, didn't it? Oh, boy. So that's one tree branch. We're going to grab a couple more. So, yeah, we're going to need a few of these guys. And we're also going to need something that's going to go across the top. The important part about this is you don't want to disturb the rabbit's trail too aggressively. You want to make sure that rabbit still has a good means of walking in there. So we're going to come over here off to the side and stay away from where the heck it's going entirely if we can. Sometimes you got to bob and weave around through the other trees and alders and things. Okay. Oh boy. Now I'm going to climb in here and get over top of this little feller. Okay. Now I'm a pretty much a good ways back. I'm going to see if I can set this camera up on one of these here trees. That's looking pretty darn good, actually. Okay. Here up the snare wire. I'm just going to hang this from a tree branch over yonder here, so it's out of my little working area. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up that funnel, and also trim up the area here. I'm going to poke this rabbit to go into this little narrow patch. We want to kind of open stuff up. There's a track right here, so we're going to put some little tree branches in here and try to discourage it. I'm going through this little location here. Open up this spot here so it's more. I don't want it to come through here. Next thing we're going to do is start working on that little funnel deal I was telling you about. So, snaring is a traditional form of food gathering that goes back in my culture. I'm a Metis by heritage. This is something me and my dad used to do all the time when I was a kid. So to be out here right now and doing this, it's kind of almost an homage to my poor dad. God rest his soul. So you see how we're kind of setting this up. We're going to funnel it in, and it's going to go right in between this little location here. That little tree branch there. You see how it makes a bit of a wall for the fella? And it forces them to travel that route. And put another one there. Now I still got another 2 branches worth of branches here to use, so that's good. And you see how already it's forming a funnel here, so it's going to really direct that rabbit into that location. And he'll be just taking his existing route So the plan goes. And hopefully I can get this one on the other side here. Without disturbing too much stuff. You want to be able to catch them coming and going. Unfortunately, the snow is not too dramatically deep here. And just like that, we got ourselves a relatively nice little funnel happening here, don't we? Alright, we're going to poke that rabbit to travel right between this little location right in here. And then make it even more if it wants to climb in there. We're going to use a couple of these guys and just narrow it off a smidgen. Just like that. You find another one here. Yeah, this Leatherman sure is handy for that, I tell you what. Get rid of that little fella. Do that. Well, that goes under nice and deep. That's perfect. Yeah. Right there. Now we got a really nice little spot right in here for that rabbit to run around in. And sometimes you can stick a branch going across the top here, which is actually, I think I might just do that. So I'm going to utilize the old handy dandy Leatherman again. Find me something nice and fat. What am I going to use for a cross beam going across? Sometimes it's good to be strung with the whole door and then little fellers. You don't want to use something too small, but you don't want to use something ginormous either. Now we're going to put a bit of a cross beam across here to hang their snare from. You can see that kind of fits right in that little notch right there. Which now, yeah, reach in and grab our old handy dandy string that we brought along. You see, it's shaping up pretty good in here. It doesn't take too long to set one of these guys up, and it's just learning how to do this is a very important thing to do for when it comes to surviving and providing yourself with food. Because a fella likes to eat. Like I say, it's been some lean times up here at Hillbilly headquarters, but also one of the fortunate things I got in this area is the capability to do this right in my own backyard. It's pretty damn sweet. Okay, so that's the funnel. That's the cross member. And I'm going to put this string away in a pocket. There we go. I'm trying to bust up the old wire. Ah! Dang it. Okay. Well, this goes a lot easier when you can find an end. And I don't got my reading glasses on, so I don't think I know. Oh, there it is. There it is. So you're going to want to get a chunk of wire. Oh, this is you can tell it's golden in color, so you know it's brass. And you want, forget the gauge of it, but it's not too thin, but it's not too thick either. The idea is one thing that's nice about brass, it kind of almost resembles grass, I believe. They just don't see it as well, I guess. I don't know. So, almost 2 feet, which is probably too big, so that's perfect. Bust out the old handy dandy Leatherman and give that wire a quick little snipper. Yep. Alright, wire's going in the pocket. Leatherman's getting folded up. That's in the other pocket. Now for this part, we make a loop because we're going to need a small little loop for the wire to slide through. Now we're just going to twist this up. And that's really good enough. But you don't want no pokey end sticking out there. and run the wire through your fingers a few times to take all the bends out of it. Now you got to thread the needle, so to speak. Just like that, you got yourself a nice little handy dandy loop. The idea behind that loop is that an old rascally rabbit's going to go right through the middle of it and catch a little fella. Now we come to this point here where we literally wrap it up around our cross branch here, and we secure our snare in position. Okay, so that being said, now it comes time to actually position the snare right in the middle where you want it to be in order to catch that little fella. You want it about 4 to 5 inches off the ground, and I'll tell you, sometimes getting it dialed in is a little finicky. You want it to kind of be in there, but not right in there. There we go. I'm going to take this little stick out of here. Need to be here. We got a little twist. Bend it back. Just to square it up in the hole. You know what I mean? Get it in there as nice as you can. That's pretty close. The idea is that the bunny goes in there head first and gets all bound up. Now with the remaining sticks that I trimmed off there for that cross beam, I'm going to just kind of set them up on the backside here and keep that little funnel thing I have going on. That way he's going to come right on in through there. I have to bonk it because it's sensitive. Doesn't take much to throw it out. A couple sticks here. Oh, there's a nice good one there. Use that fella. Yeah. We got our existing trail coming in. That's about, good 3 or 4 inches off the ground. Existing trail, a little bit of a funnel, and you want to get this as square in the middle as you can. The idea is you don't want the rabbit to brush it off to the side and go around. You want it to go right through the little feller. So that's about set up as good as it's going to go. Trying to walk on the rabbit trail, so that way he'll keep on going where he's going. And we'll see how this goes. I got all my stuff here. Got my gloves, got my string, got my Leatherman. Ooh, lights bouncing around. There we go. And we'll take another view of this out by the road here. Yeah. Okay. There. Pretty handy dandy little spot there, eh? You can see right in there where she's going to go. And it's on a heavily used existing trail, so hopefully I can catch me some dinner. Well, hopefully you guys learned a little something about snaring and how to hunt, because it's an important thing. Like I say, it's a traditional means of food that goes back several generations on my side of the family. And it's a tradition, something I used to do often when I was a kid with my dad. And rabbit is really yummy, actually. It's really lean, but it's good. And if I get something, well, I'll just put it in the slow cooker, the crock pot. Stays in there for about 6 hours. And when it comes out, it's amazing. Really yummy. Well, after chopping up this piece of garbage plywood, I realized why it was garbage plywood. It's pretty junky, and you can hear it. It's got hollow spots in it, and you don't want anything that's going to be sharp and pokey because that'll wreck your hide. See what I mean? Just that ain't gonna work for a fella. So I went out and grabbed something out of the scrap pile and did this little bad boy up. No, it's not exactly even across. It's not perfect, but hey, that's okay. It's not rocket science. So now we got this set up. I'm gonna go out there and retrieve the rabbit and start on this skinning process, which can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Not very many people know how to skin a rabbit nowadays, and like I say, these are all important things I think people should know how to do, because one of these days you might actually have to know how to do this. So yeah, I'm just going to tidy up, put a few of the little tools away that I use for this little woodworking project, and then I'm going to turn you good folks off. And I'm going to go out there and get myself that bunny rabbit and bring it back in here into the shed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got our source of food brought in here. The fur is luxurious in this. First thing we're going to do is going to cut around one ankle, cut around the other ankle, and then we're going to run the incision in to the junk. And then we're just going to literally pull it off. Before we get too far on this, we're also going to go around the front feet as well and pull it off all the way to the head. Once you get to the head, you got to deal with the ears, around the eyes, and the nose itself. Yeah, like I say, it's an emotional thing. I feel guilt for taking an animal's life, but also this animal's life is food, and it's something that's been, you know, part of my family tradition for thousands of years, and they taste great. You know, you put it in the slow cooker or the crock pot there, and you know, after about 6 hours, she pops out, falls right off the bone. It tastes great. It's like, you know, bush chicken. It works out good. So I'm gonna do all this part here. I'm gonna do the cut around the back legs and to the junk and around the front legs and start pulling that off. And I don't know if it's appropriate worth me filming it, because you know, I'm not sure how the old YouTube thing is going to deal with that. So, but I think I won't record that part of it. But I think it's important that you guys know how to properly do this. You got to cut it just above the heel joint, and just above there too, and just above there as well. That way, when you pull this whole section of hide off, like I say, you're going to pull it off like you're taking off a sock. You know, you start at your calf or your ankle, and you peel it straight back and off. And then you gotta, when you get to around the head, you'll see where the ears are. There's lots of cartilage in there, so you gotta disconnect that cartilage from the skull and the hide, and the eyes, and then around the nose. And then we're gonna put that hide onto our handy dandy board, and it's going to be inside out. That way it can dry off, and then once you get the hide dealt with, we're going to deal with the internal organs on it. And it's like gutting any animal. You know, you start at the tummy and you work your way up and you pull all the crap out of it. You know, you want to make sure that you don't get the bladder poked, so you don't have to worry about, you know, any urine or any of that kind of stuff contaminating your meat. Get the lungs, the heart. Even the lungs and the heart could probably even stay in the animal, because it's a good source of protein and food. And we're going to cook everything, including the head, on this, because there's meat in the neck, there's meat in the chin, and we're going to utilize as much of this animal as possible. That's the whole objective here, is to not discard anything. And anything that does get discarded is going to end up going to the chickens anyway. So like even the guts and all that stuff, I'll end up you know, dicing that up and giving it to my birds, because believe it or not, chickens aren't vegetarian. They like eating meat as well, but it needs to be in smaller, easier to digest and handle pieces. So, and that part gets a little gross and nasty, so I'm not even going to film any of that, but just to let you know where this animal is going and what of it's going to be wasted. And I'm hoping to achieve little to no wastage. You know, the only we won't be able to eat will be the bones, the toes. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go all out on this guy, because that's the right thing to do when it comes to harvesting an animal. You don't want to waste your meat. It's a big gift from you know, the guy in the sky, and you got to be respectful of your resources. So, like I say, I'm gonna get started on this, and hopefully next time you see it, it's going to be on this guy inside out, and then we'll have a look at the body here, and I'll show you where to make your incisions for removing the guts. Okay, well, I got the rabbit skinned. It's going to be a good meal. I'm going to finish up this video when this thing is all cooked. That way you can see it all the way through the whole process, you know, setting the snare, harvesting the animal, taking off the hide, doing all this stuff. Like I say, this is very important. It's a traditional thing that we've always done, and it's important to be able to share this with the next generation. So that's where we're at. And, you know, yummy food is always yummy food. Well, I've been told rabbit tastes a lot like chicken, and we already had a chicken on the go, and it's pretty early in the morning to the point where we're going to have this sucker for dinner for tonight. So this is a continuation of the process. Yum yum. I'm looking forward to it. Oh yeah. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you managed to learn a few little things along the way. See you next week. Bye.